on the chapter that's talking about reinventing the wheel, and it's talking about detachment from preconceptions or sitting in the center is the only way to begin to perceive life clearly. That's a word within itself. Detachment from preconceptions or sitting in the center is the only way to begin to perceive life clearly. So when we think about the 12, we think about the clock. A clock, right? The clock represents a complete cycle of life. Day and night both have 12 hours, 12 months, complete a year. 12 signs of the zodiac surround our planet. 12 apostles were sent out by Jesus on their missions, and 12 tribes of Israel made up the biblical Jewish nation. I talked about this part a little bit already, but just to backtrack some. The mystical implications of the number 12 suggest that it is an archetypal pattern. The clock, when divided into 12 sections, also resembles a wheel, one of the most ancient representations of spirit, faith, fortune, and the cycles of life. So, moving forward, between the zodiacs. So she said that she caught a glimpse of the collective unconscious as she saw the 12 houses of the zodiac overlaid on the wheel. The overlapping design of the wheel might have been just a coincidence, but the more she worked with the confluence between the 12 archetypes and the 12 houses of the zodiac, the more firmly she became convinced that they could shed light on our contracts and get us to see ourselves in new ways. Okay? Sacred contracts is probably where I need to be at this moment in time, because I have so many things that's changing and shifting so quickly, to the point where if there was ever a time I needed to tap into my archetypes, this is probably the time. This is probably the time that I need to do it the most. So, like an astrological chart, the purpose of the archetypal wheel is to expand your understanding of yourself. Specifically, the wheel is a medium through which your archetypal pattern can best communicate their role in unfolding your sacred contract. Your archetypes are like magnets, drawing together the essential elements required for an experience to manifest, including the people with whom you have contracts and the points at which you are to make an important choice, probably more now than ever before. Each of the houses is also aligned with the energies of one or more chakras, where their areas of influence overlap. This confluence of energy should help you get a deeper picture of the nature of your archetypal houses. So the first house of the astrological chart represents the ego and personality. The archetype that falls into that house represents the dominant unconscious pattern of influence of your ego and personality. Because it is the house that grounds you in the world and rules your senses of who you are, it is aligned with the energies of both the first and third chakras. So, she goes on to say how many people are able to identify the exact archetype, while others will usually describe characteristics that are associated with their archetype. Men who have the archetype of the knight on the first house, for instance, frequently project an aura glittering with chivalry, romance, and charm. They may also seem protective of others, especially women, or even informal in their manner of dress or speech. Sometimes this archetype is obvious, sometimes it is subtle. On. She talks about how, according to the astrological teachings, each of the 12 houses in a natal chart represents a different focus of your life. The 12 houses of the wheel provides a format through which you can evaluate how your archetypes operate in your daily life, both literally and symbolically. The eighth house, for instance, labeled other people's resources, relates to other people's money and how you use it, and to inheritance and legal matters. Your inheritance can refer not only to your financial legacy, but also to your DNA and ancestral biological memory, as well as to your inherited tribal attitudes and beliefs going back a generation or millennials. That's something. Even though you can interpret your archetypes and their houses literally, you want to stretch their meaning into the symbolic. If you stop at the literal meaning of a word, you may get frustrated because you cannot always literally see a connection between an archetypal pattern and the meaning of the house into which it falls. You want to see the literal meaning of what is taking place in front of your eyes. So, for instance, emotional, psychological, and genetic inheritances are just as real, if not more so, than money and property. So, when considering your inheritance, consider physical, consider attitude, and emotional characteristics you share with your family as well. When you are trying to interpret the meaning of any archetypal pattern within its house, consider all sides of the image and the When you are trying to interpret the meaning of any archetypal pattern within its house, consider all sides of the image and the information it holds. By doing so, you will create a fuller portrait of all the patterns and purpose of your life. Remember, your archetypes are your guides to discerning your contracts and achieving your divine potential. All of your archetypal patterns are certainly present in the concerns of each of the 12 houses, for they interact as one hologram, like a system within the psyche. Nonetheless, one pattern takes the lead regarding the theme of each house. So, when we get into another chapter a little later, we're going to talk about how that works specifically. Okay? So there's a figure of the archetypal wheel. I will take a screenshot of it and post it on the YouTube so that everybody can see what I'm actually talking about. And y'all are not just listening to me talk and trying to imagine what it is that I'm breaking down. Okay? So, making your houses your home is where I'm going to pick up with later. In the first house, again, is about ego and personality, the first and the third chakras. I'm going to pick up with that later because I need to outline. I did not outline anything, but I did feel the need to just share a little bit. So I was sitting here thinking of a word to leave everybody with, or you know what I mean, just to give you something to meditate on, to go to sleep on, to think about, to wake up on tomorrow and carry on your day. And the word that I saw when I did a quick peep in. The word is sustain. The word is sustain. Sustain means to support something or keep it going. To keep up or keep going as an action or process. To sustain. That is the word. So when you think spiritually, think about how can you sustain spiritually? How can you sustain when it comes to your purpose? How can you sustain when it comes to your divine path? How can you sustain when it comes to your manifestations and watering them, and your meditations and your beliefs? How can you sustain in your area of growth and evolution? How can you sustain? That's a good journal prompt. To give it strength, to protect it, to give yourself encouragement and comfort. Sustain, that's the word. So think of things that you need to strengthen on your journey, or you need to support more physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And write that down. Write that down, because how I'm feeling right now is coming across as, once you write down areas where you are weak or areas where you may lack, and you actually see that on paper, and you meditate with it and you sit with it, you can then move forward on finding the proper ways to strengthen it, to uphold it, and to carry it out. So it says a deeper healing is needed. Healing of humanity's spirit, healing of our hearts and minds. We have to think outside the box and consider something beyond our tangible world. The imbalance we see on our planet is a mere reflection of the unseen inner imbalance within ourselves. So, to create a lasting change, we cannot heal one without the other. Sustainability is the true essence of healing. I like it. Spiritual sustainability is about cultivating a sustainable spirit, becoming more connected to yourself, to others, and to the planet. This connection is within, and your intuition is your guide. Be sure to come back for more with All Things Spiritual with Chantal Jones.